Hi, this is Mike from Minimal3DP, and today I'm trying to go live. I'm not really expecting anybody to join me today, but I want to work on fixing some of my printers. I have some maintenance to do, and I thought on the off chance anybody does join me, I could answer questions in case anybody has any. One of the things I want to do is I've recently installed the BQ-H2V2S extruder, and I think I want to convert this into a volcano, a hot end here. So I want to change out this bottom to a volcano heat block. So we'll see how that goes. If anybody has any questions, you can ask away. Anybody does join, and I'll try my best to answer any questions somebody might have. So I'm just going to sit here working, probably talking to myself, because I probably will leave this posted. And we'll see how it goes. So, my first step is I'm probably going to I need to get a volcano heat block. And I think I have several still here, although I may need to order more. And I do have some volcanoes, so that's good. And I also, so I'll start with that. And then looks like I have some socks too. And let me get out all the equipment I'll need. I just have a lot of odds and ends here that I haven't used in a while. Try that. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them. So what I'm going to start with is I printed out a new duct here. I have to clean this out a little bit. So I have some support hanging off. I'll clean that. The bottom's a little rough, but I'll leave that as is. Let me put in some threaded inserts. I'll wire this all up. If somebody does have a question, just post it in the chat. Let me make sure my sound's working. It looks like it is. That's good. So I'll just monitor everything. Now hopefully I can do this without burning myself, which is a tradition as well. That looks good. Let me see if I can do this again without burning myself. So let's put that aside, and then I'll undo this. Now I do like this extruder, but I want to convert it over to a volcano because I want to see if I can up the throughput and get it to be higher flow. Also looks like I'm having a little bit of leakage here. Which isn't good. Let's see if we can get be nice to be able to reuse all these pieces. Now, what I'm trying to do is get this hot end off. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get that stuff out. So that's okay. Let me just yank that. Undo the wires and I'll just rewire it with new ones. And what I'm going to try to do is just twist this off. Let's try this. So what I'm trying to do is get this heat break out, but that doesn't look like it's going to budge. So let me see if I have a spare. Use a spare. Unfortunately, I have those across the room, so I can take them out. Or maybe I don't have them across the room. Maybe I have them here. It's like I have too many tool chests filled with stuff. Again, if anybody has any questions, because I see a couple people have joined, you're more than welcome to ask away. And here I have 2 bimetal heat breaks here. So I use those. Have this. The question is, will it work? And the answer is no. So let's see what else I have. Oh. So that bimetal doesn't work, but I have steel here. Let's see if I can get this open. Yep, that works. I have that. Let me put this other one aside. Here, I'll need to put those in a case later. Now, this came out, so I can still use this. I'm not going to be able to use any of this, so I'll throw that away. And what I'm going to do is I have my volcano hot end. And figure out how I want to orient this. I want it this way. Put that in, and then I'm just going to sink in this 0.4 nozzle. And I want that like that, I think. Let's go. So let's see if I can get this tightened. Okay, I have a question about a Tronxy and how it goes. This is from Luke, about how the belts work. I think part of your problem, what he's describing, is about 20 millimeters up, layers start to shift. I think you possibly have 2 problems. I think one, the cheap belts do stretch, so they get loose over time. And then your other problems may be that you really need to tighten the belts more. Now, my guess is I would start off by replace the belts. Let me go ahead and type that in. Now, something else just to check too, because this has happened to me, not necessarily on the Tronxy, but make sure you have nothing on the path of your printers. Occasionally I'll get a piece of filament in the track or something else, and then at a certain point it starts hitting it. So what I would do is just, again, make sure everything's cleared off and clean. And then, particularly on the Tronxy, I'd go ahead and replace the belts. The belts I found are sort of stretchy, and in my mind, they're just not very high quality. So I'd go ahead and replace those belts and see what happens then. Now on my Tronxy, I'm in the process of, I'm going to convert that over to a VZ bot. I have most of the parts printed, and I really just need to sit down and screw with it. My biggest problem right now is just having that time to mess with it. But I have all the parts printed, and I'm looking forward to getting that all together. So that's what I'm working on. So I would go ahead and change out the belts and then see what that does for you. And then see how the printer works for you once those belts are stretched out. Or once those belts are replaced. And that should, again, help. Because that seems to be a common problem with the trunks. And one of the first things I did when I set up mine was replace those belts. So I'd go ahead and do that and then see what that does for you. Now, if you're overheating the steppers, if you're using Marlin, you should be able to go in and change the voltage. I think, let me call up on the screen here. And now if you're compiling your own copy of Marlin for your Tronxy, let me get the code and we'll just take a quick look at it. And you can see what I'm talking about. Hopefully this will make sense. If you give me a second here, I'll find the configurations. And I'm looking at the examples now. Let me switch over so you can see this camera. So let me maximize this. So I'm going to maximize this, and I'm looking at the examples. And let's see, here's Tronxy. And you're using the 5XA. So you're using this one. So let's look at the configuration _advanced. I'm going to try to find the section here I think you should scroll around with. So give me a second. So it's under your steppers. And I'm going to struggle to find this because you've asked the question. This only works if you're compiling your own. I don't have my screen hooked up, so I can't check. You might be able to change the voltages on the screen, but it's probably buried. Well, I think I can show you with this set of code. It doesn't have to be the 400. Let me see if I can find this. Okay, right in this section here. So this is where the configurations are for the stepper motors. And this is the currents right here. So in this case, on this x-axis, the current is set to 800. What you could do is try bumping it down to 750 or 700 and see what that does for you. So you can see you can do it for X, Y, and then Z as well. So if your stepper motors are heating up too much, you can try messing with these voltages, these currents, and lowering them, and that should cool your stepper motors down some. I had the same issue on my Ender 5 Plus when I upgraded boards, and literally I just bumped these down to I think like 700 or 750, where I didn't lose any torque or speed, but the stepper motors were much cooler to the touch. Now in my case, I did try cooling fans. I did try these things. Let me see if I can pick them up. Yeah. I tried these. Let me just show you these parts. So I tried these on the stepper motors, gluing them to the bottom, and I didn't really notice a great difference with the heat. So I don't think these really help. They're supposed to, that's what they're made for, but I didn't really notice a difference. What I would do is mess with the currents if you're compiling your own firmware, and that should do what you need. Let me just go back and look and see if they have the 400. I'm not seeing the 400 here. But again, it's the same for any of these Tronxies. So it's the same code. Wherever the stepper motors are, you should be able to play with those currents and get them cooler. Now, if they're not that hot, if they're just warm, you could try again these cooling things. And I mean, I think these were like 10 or 15 bucks off Amazon. And these were 40 millimeter heat sinks. So you could try those. I'd probably be more inclined, if you were doing your own firmware, go ahead and just mess with the currents. Now, if you're nervous about the flashing your own firmware, I understand. Sometimes that's a little bit of a big lift. I did do a video on compiling your own firmware. You could try taking a look at that and see if that'll help you any. I think in your case, I really would be looking at compiling firmware. I think if you did that, you'll be able to, I'd start with the belts, and then I'd at least consider playing around with the firmware. Right with that, I wouldn't, give me a second, I'm trying to find a thermistor. There's the thermistor. But hopefully that helps you some. Like I said, I've done a video on changing up the, on compiling Marlin, and that may help you. I think I go pretty slow. I called it one of my boring guides because I go really slow and try to cover as much detail as possible, which tends to be boring. Apparently, I don't have a very exciting voice. But Luke, thanks for your question. I appreciate it. Like I said, this is my first time trying this live thing, and I'll be honest, I'm nervous as all get out, so, and I don't even know why. So what I'm doing now is just getting this thermistor all set up. And I tend to buy the thermistors and the heat blocks in bulk. Oops. So I buy a bunch from AliExpress. In fact, I'm going to do another big order here. The goal here with this so I think that's good. I'm just going to hold that here like this. I'm trying not to tighten these too much. Mainly because my old one, I stripped the hell out of these. So everything looks pretty good. I was able to reuse the hot end here, so I didn't have to, I just need to wire these back in. So I really like, big fan of the hermit crab. Let me put these aside. The one nice thing about hermit crab can be a pain in the butt, but what I like about this, I can change things out and experiment pretty easily. Now somewhere here, I just bought a laser attachment, so I'm looking forward to messing with that, where I'm going to I should be able to do use the laser here. I guess Luke's saying he's from the UK and everything's twice the price. That does suck. I'm pretty lucky where I can go off Amazon and mostly everything's 2-day shipping. My problem is I live really rural, and so it's hard to, there's very few things that same day, or very few things that are same day or just easy to get. So I don't have any of the good stores around me. I forgot why I hated this thermistor. So of course I can't strip this. Let me see if I can clean this up some. And of course I cut that too short. This is real brutal. So what I'm going to do is take this back out. I'm going to use one of my other thermistors. Remember why I stopped using these. These are awful. Try to wire. Let's see if I can do this. Like I said, there was a reason why I stopped with these. So let's see if I have any better ones. Now, for some reason, I have a ton of glass ones. So I switched over to these. So let's do these. So I'm going to try these. These a while ago. I've never used them. I'm not sure I'm going to like this, but oops, help to go the other way. Oh, that'll be fine. Let's tighten this in. And well, the one problem I have with this, I'm actually going to have an extra set of wires here. It's an extra connection. I think I'll just suffer through with this. This will have an extra connection, but I might as well use what I have. do this. Yeah, looks right. And just make sure this fits on. Well, that looks perfect. Now, let's try this again. This time I'm going to give myself more slack here. I want to cut these right about here. Now, let me get rid of this junk in front of me so I have more space to work. What I do is I strip these down to about 3 millimeters. If you look, you can see I have about 3 millimeters on each one. Give those a couple twists. Then let me get this. Now, looks about right. So what I'm going to do is let me hook this up on the printer. And let me do a quick cut here. Back on the printer. So let's switch over to that screen so you can see it. So I have it on the printer. And what I'm going to do is heat it up to 205 to load it. Actually, let me go to 220. And both the hot end and the thermistor appear to be working, so that's good. Now, what I forgot to do was install the actual duct on there, but I'll just tighten everything up and then that'll work out. So while that's heating, let me get my tools. Let me see if this will. So I got a little wrench. And I'm just going to do that so I can tighten up the nozzle and get that snug. And then I'll pull the extruder back off and just hook up the, go ahead and hook up the duct. So it looks like I'm about the right temperature. So let me just go up here. Well, no, that's not working. Let's see if I have another wrench here. Like that. Let's see. Nope. Let me. It should work. I'm just tightening that. That feels good. I'm not going to load it. What I'm going to do is zero it out, leave the fan on for a second, and then I'll yank it and get the duct on. Now with the, oh, I just messed up. Camera, sorry. What you're going to discover about me is I fumble around here a lot. But I enjoy it. So I fumble, but I love my 3D printers. I think what I'm going to do is I'm working towards, I think I'm going to do a Hydra bed on this, which is the 3 points. And I'm really excited by that. So I'm going to work on that. That's one of my next goals. What's that hot end at? Let's just let that go for a minute. And my printer didn't do too good a job on this stuff. You look at it, it really didn't do a good job with the supports. This is Cura again. I just can't seem to get the supports where I like them. And I just posted a video, I think yesterday, on the Cura plugin Auto Rotate. I love that plugin. And if I had that on Prusa, I'd probably switch over to Prusa just because I just feel like I have more and more trouble with Cura and just getting it to run right. Also, with the fact that I'm running Clipper on a lot of stuff, I think that Prusa Slice a little bit more Clipper friendly. So let me think. This is cooled down. Yeah, that's cool enough where I'm not afraid to yank it. So I want to turn the printer off. And I can bring this over. And let me get my bits on here. Well, I need the right size. Back up to my desk cam. So I'm being careful with this. That should be all right. Well, let's just do this bottom one first. Now the bottom of this looks horrible, but I can already tell it's seated better. It's seated better than the other one was. Let's get this one here. I'm going to clip this off here. So that's on. Let's get the sock on. Pushing this over a little bit. Now it looks like I'm touching the little bit right in there. Just tight, make sure all these screws are tight. All of them feel like they could use another turn. It's still on there a little bit. So let's see. Push this over and I'm just going to clip it a little bit. Let me get my thin snips. There we go. I think that's better. We'll see if this looks all right. So let's try this now and see how this works. So let me switch back over to the display so you can see it. We switch back over to the display. So I'm keeping back up to 210. And then I'll go ahead and level the bed. I don't have any viewers right now. So what I'm doing is just trying to convert this over. There's nothing wrong with um, the default hot end, but I really, really want to try to do a little bit more high flow stuff and faster on this machine since it's Core XY and Clipper. And I figured in order to do that, I might as well. I was looking at buying another hot end and then realized let's just use what I already have. I'm a big fan of the Volcano. I have lots of replacement parts for that. And so for me, it's a no-brainer just to use what I have. Well, that works surprisingly well. So I have the filament run through. And what I'm going to do first thing is I'm just going to do a PID tune. And let's see. So what I need to do is let me look up the commands. And I'll show this on screen. So I can't ever remember the commands, so I just always look stuff up. I have a bunch of different sites I use, this being one of them. Copy the command, go over here, paste it in. Now I think I'm going to try upping temperature on this. So I'm going to PID tune to 210. And so that's working. And I'll let that go for a couple minutes. So that's slowly but surely PID tuning now. Then as soon as it's done PID tuning, I'll switch over and just do the, I'll just switch over and level the bed. Then I'll probably just print a bench sheet to see how it goes. Well, at least I answered one question today. Hopefully I'm going to periodically do this in the future, just to see what happens. I also like to get some feedback on what I'm doing in general.
There's nothing quite like a movie that just hooks you the second you hear about its premise, be it Speed's unstoppable
This is pit tuning, and I need to do this while I'm waiting. I'll look up some other commands. This is still calibrating. And I can see some filament is oozing out. Hopefully I have everything tightened appropriately. I'm hoping, since I didn't really mess with the bed, it's still relatively level. So I need to save my config. Let's save that. Now it's restarting Clipper. Now, before I do the probe calibrate, I need to home all. Ah, do an emergency stop here because I messed up. Made a mistake. Bring this over. So I now know the emergency stop works. I forgot to change out the location of the sensor. So it would have crashed into the bed. This isn't low enough. Let's go ahead and move this. So what I need to do is undo this. You can see I have two different pieces here. This one lowers it, so let's throw the old one away. And get this fixed in here. What I need this crash into the bed. Wire through here. It's of course hard to get in. guess that's all right. Yeah, so I have that back on. I'm going to switch back over to my display. Now I need to stop clipper, restart it. I've already PID tuned it. So now I'm going to home all. I want to be over here when it does it, just in case that nozzle's still not, the probe's not right. It looks like it is. Make another change. So what I'm going to do is change the offsets. These old files. Get rid of this offset here. And restart this because I don't know what this error is telling me. I didn't change anything. I didn't change anything with the heater bed. So let's just start this back up. Well, what did I do wrong here? Heater bed's all right. Maybe I had that space in my file. Just hope that's it. Let's try homing again, and I'm just going to stand over here and watch it. Okay. I'm going to stop this. And I want to lower, I'm going to lower this a little bit. So I'm going to lower the BL touch a little bit. I really think it's too high. So I'm just going to get a little bit longer screws. Oh, now I just missed all my screws up. Oh, it sucks. What I'm going to do is put 3 washers on each side. That should put the BL touch down a little bit more. So I just have to count these out. That gives a little bit more space. I'll tighten this a little bit better. Since I have both sides started. This puts the probe down a little bit more. So I think that nozzle was almost hitting the bed. And I like it. So on home all, we'll see what this does. Just want to watch the bottom here. Yeah, the nozzle's far enough away from the bed now so I feel comfortable. So let's heat this back up, fix the filament, and then we'll go ahead and level her out. And I'll keep the stream going while I level the bed just so you can see what that looks like. It's back. Put on my tools. Put my bits. Just put everything up here so it's out of the way. And let me unload this filament. unloaded. Now I'm going to load. Well, looking like I'm a little loose here. So I'll have to fix that too. Oh, wait a minute. Since I'm loose, zero back out, and I can tighten things up. So what I've done is I don't have these tight in the back. That sucks. Let's I'm not going to unwire everything. Let's just try to. What I want to do is just check everything here. Tighten these a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to put this back on. I'll make sure this is nice and tight as well. What I think I'm going to do is once I have this on, I'll jump off here. Anybody wants to see me level this thing? Like I said, the key here is It should give me much better flow rates. This might help to go in the right hole. So I have this sort of all put back together. And then I'll load it up. And I then should have an extruder that's going to be a much higher flow rate. There we go. Hook her back up. Then I'll go ahead and restart cooker. Get my 210. It should be much steadier on that mount too, which I can't believe I did that. It was really loose. Go ahead and start loading it. Okay. So we're loaded. Going to go back to 0. Home all. Let me stand over here and just make sure it goes. And let me clean off the nozzle. Clean. I have strings of filament everywhere now in here. Now, I'm going to move the bed down. I'm going to go ahead and clean the bed. It just looks filthy. And there go all my bed clips. So let me clean that back up. Found 2 bed clips. Where's the third? There it is. So I found all the bed clips. Well, that's good. I'm eventually going to find a better clip solution for this. As soon as I hit the bed, these pop off. Now, we'll run probe calibrate. If you hear the bed screeching, that's one of my problems. That's one reason why I want to switch out that bed totally. And here's my feeler gauge. And my feeler gauge I do is 0.1 millimeters. Need to wait for the finish moving. Now I don't think I'm going to mess with the corners. I shouldn't have to because it was already level. Really close. Pop it down one more. Maybe one more. That feels good. So I'm going to hit accept. Save config. And I'm going to let it restart. And I have G-code files calibrate my Ender 5 Plus lines code. So I'm going to run that. And then I can mess with each of the knobs. I'm just keeping an eye on the probe, make sure everything's good. This is going to go ahead and do the whole bed. Now, if I do switch this to the Hydra, let me bring up a picture of the Hydra. You'll look, it levels off 4 points on the bed. So that's really what I want. Is to be able to level off those 3 points. Although I have a bunch of parts I need to print. Like I said, that's something interesting I want to try. So that's working. This is almost done. And that's heating up my targets. And that's almost getting ready to start. I want to be over here when it starts. That way I can adjust the knobs or stop it if there's a problem. Now, one reason why I have yellow loaded in here is you can see it better. And I can see it better. So I'm just going to go around here, feeling this. That's feeling pretty good. So I can get it. Just let it go. This corner right here is a little loose. Let's see what this does. I'll just raise this screw up here. I think that got it. So I'm going to do one more square and then I'll quit. I probably need to mess with the retraction settings. They seem a little stringy. That looks good. So let's stop it. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and do a benchy. And I have set up to just probe the area where the model is. So this should be pretty quick. What I'm going to do is start the benchy and we'll watch it, make sure it sets down the first layer good. And I just lost another clip. It shot across the room. Oh, these clips are going to be the death of me. And get these clips up. Okay, so it's all on. And then I already have a benchy saved here. So I'll start the benchy and then we'll call it a day. Oops. And as you can see, it's now just probing the area it's going to print. Now it's doing a pretty dense mesh. And as you can hear, it is squeaking some, so I have to work on the bed. So this is still going. And I just want to make sure this mesh, excuse me, I just want to make sure this print goes, and then I'll call it a day. So far, this is looking good. Now, this does have a brim on it. And the brim looks like it's sticking really well. Just want to check my steppers here, make sure they're not running hot. They're a little warm. Dang skirt got in the way. Oh, the text is looking really sharp. Let's see. That first layer looks. It's a little messed up. Okay, it's pulling up the. So I got to stop it. Well, I got to work on leveling again. But I guess I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. Thanks again.